Give people some time to sit down. Just go. Cool. All right. So my name is Mark. I'm a developer evangelist here at Wyden. I'm in my first year of professional software development. I just graduated from UW-Platteville a little less than a year ago. So take everything I say with a grain of salt. I'm not super. I don't know everything. But I have been doing some exploration with JavaScript automation and build tools. Not only here at work, but also in my own little side projects and stuff. So I was hoping that I could share some of the knowledge that I've garnished from that with you guys. So just to jump right in, why do we have automation and build tools in any development environment? And basically just to not have to do these tasks over and over again. They're very boring and repetitive. So these build tools, what they do is they encapsulate the execution of a particular compilation into a single command. So if you want to run JS hint and then uglify something, you can just run one command. And usually these build systems provide kind of a domain-specific language for kind of enjoyably writing stuff. And conveniently express dependencies between different tasks. Some of the advantages of this is that you don't have to go up into the tree and do stuff. That's very dangerous. Yeah. So less repetition. You're not hurting yourself for a giant software project and doing all this dangerous work manually, getting hit in the chest of the tree. So instead, you get these nice build libraries and tools, and you basically have these Jenga playing robots that are building your software for you. The disadvantage of this is that now you have to understand how the Jenga playing robot works, and you have to know how to maintain that thing. Just keep in mind that technical debt is the enemy, and technical debt can bite you in the ass. So the current ecosystem of JavaScript build tools there's actually quite a lot out there. It seems like recently with NPM and GitHub and CommonJS and Node, there's been just a Cambrian explosion of JavaScript modules and libraries everywhere. So these are just some of the build tools that I found. I'm going to talk about the first three: NPM, Grunt, and Gulp. Broccoli, I believe, is some Rails something or other. It's similar to Rails asset pipeline, but yeah. Brunch, I think that's a HTML5 specific build tool, so I didn't really want to go too much into that because I wanted to be more general. Task.js, I saw a video once of some guy using Task.js. It seemed pretty minimal, pretty simple to use, pretty easy to get started. And Make, that's kind of the mainstay in any kind of Linuxy environment. You see Make and Automake and CMake, which can cross-compile your stuff for different development environments. So first I'm going to talk about NPM. And maybe you guys don't think of NPM as a build tool, but it actually can be used for that. First though, NPM, so NPM stands for NPM is not an acronym. It's a recursive backronymic abbreviation. I just thought it was interesting. I want to share it. So it was introduced with Node.js, and it's basically an interface to the Node package management, the Node or the NPM registry, which is I'm sure a lot of you have heard of that. It's a giant repository of packages related to JavaScript. So modules can be NPM allows you to manage these modules, which can be published to this registry, and it helps you maintain your dependencies of your package and other packages' dependencies. Helps you find dependencies, install them conditionally, and it can also help assist in the lifecycle of your JavaScript modules. And there's tons of other hidden things, like it can install man pages for you, I found out, and automatically run commands for your users. So first off, when you're doing any JavaScript module, I highly suggest running this command, npm init. What it's going to do is ask you a few questions like the name of the project, the version, any dependencies, a license, and just other stuff. It'll try and guess some reasonable defaults. But once you run this command, you get a nice package.json file, which is kind of a metadata for your project, and it's really useful because it allows people to, it allows you to push it onto the registry, which is really useful for other people, and also kind of documents dependencies and just kind of a nice way of, storing metadata for your program. And I have seen not just JavaScript use package.json, but like C modules and other modules as well. This is the minimum requirements for a package.json, just a name and a version. The version must, well, it doesn't have to, but highly suggested it follows semver, semantic versioning spec, which defines certain rules for incrementing your version based on the type of change you made. So if you plan on using a package.json, I would really encourage you to check out, well, it's like, yeah, it's supposed to be semver.org down there, but I don't know what's up. So I would encourage you to check out semver.org and get a feeling for what semantic versioning is, because if everyone could use semantic versioning, that'd be really nice. Yeah, so NPM also does dependency management, obviously, and that's something that's part of building JavaScript. So you can install a module such as Figlet or Colors, and you could save it to your package.json. It'll automatically put it into the dependencies and give it the version. You can also do install development dependencies, which are dependencies that are not meant to be distributed and installed for the end user. More something that you would be doing, obviously, for development. It's things like Tape, which is a good testing library, or JSHint or Uglify. So yeah, leave your non-essential stuff in your dev dependencies. One member of the package.json spec is the scripts key. The scripts member, it's a hash of script commands that are run at various times during the lifecycle of your package. So the key is the lifecycle event, and the value is the command to run at that point. So there's a couple of built-in commands. Some of the more commonly used ones, I guess, or ones that I've used, is pre-publish, which will run before you push a package to NPM, to the registry. So like JSHint, running JSHint before you publish is, it's like a decent idea, making sure your code looks decent, and you're enforcing style rules. But you may also be running tests, like making sure that you're not pushing untested code to the registry, which is also a good idea. Start will, run some arbitrary command. So this will run your server, or a server in this hypothetical package.json. And build is another built-in. And with the built-ins, you can just run like npm, build, and it works. There's also, you can do custom commands like that are not in there, and you just do npm-run, the name of the command. So they're all kind of powered by this npm-run thing. So getting into more of the build tools aspect of npm, or at least how I like to use it, you can just run basically arbitrary shell scripts in your scripts, which is really nice. So one thing that I said build tools have is, you can specify dependencies for your commands. And with Linux provides Unix, I guess, provides the double ampersand, which is evaluating the first statement, the npm-run-lint, and then if the return code is not 0, then it's going to short circuit that conditional and fail the test, and it's not even going to run the test suite because the linter didn't pass. Otherwise, it'll run the test suite, and hopefully all is good, and the test pass. So with the double ampersand, you can get dependent commands really easily. You can also run concurrent commands. So if you want to run like a background task while something else is going on, you could use the single ampersand. So with a single ampersand, what it's going to do here in this example is fork the CORS proxy process and then run on a server. So now I can get CORS for free without having to ask the maintainer to put their access control headers on there. And you can pipe commands into other commands as well. So right here I am basically spitting out my index.js file into Uglify and then minifying it. So really simple, really straightforward, really, really useful. And the nice thing about this, too, is you don't need intermediary files. Like, I don't have to save the index.js as something else and then, do something with it. It just all flows through. And that's really nice. Really nice way of being able to plug things in, because I could also have a script maybe do something else before, instead of catting the index.js, I could do something else with it and, just make sure it is spitting out that data and I can pipe it into my Uglify thing. So yeah, npm-run-script is the actual. Yeah, so I have like links down here, but they're being cut off. So, oh well. npm-run-script is like the actual documented piece of the package manager that runs these different tasks that I've been kind of talking about. So, like I said, test, publish, start, and stop, restart. Some of the more common ones. You don't need to prefix them with the run thing. Whereas if it was an uncommon task, you have to prefix it with run. And yeah, so I'm going to try and do, so yeah, npm is awesome, I really like it. I'm going to try and do a little bit of a npm, show you how I use it. Whoa, how's that for size? Good? Oh man, yeah. Alright. So I made like a little stupid program. Actually, it's not stupid, it's probably the next big thing. Prints out hello MadJS in rainbow colors, Figlet. So, yeah, the first thing you want to do, probably, npm init. And it's going to ask me some questions. So, yeah, npm example, 000, yeah, it's fine. Rainbows, index.js for the entry point. Tests, we don't have any, oh yeah, I do have tests. So we'll specify that for the future. No get yet, blah, blah, blah. Yes. All right, so now we got this package.json, which, if you haven't seen one before, this is a package.json. Pretty simple thing. I have some dependencies already specified in the node modules folder, and it already automatically detected them and put the version in there, which is really cool, really useful. Yeah, so now I want to write some scripts. Let's get rid of tests actually. Let's do something else. We'll run JS hint on my code, and then we'll test it. And we got to make sure we got the test library, we got JS hint. Okay, I didn't have it. Sorry about that. I really didn't want to make you guys watch registry stuff. Okay, so now npm test, and okay, so lint failed, so the test suite didn't even run. So that's kind of what we wanted. So if I want, I can, let's see, so missing use strict, missing semicolon. Okay, so that's pretty simple fix. Strict false and node. Oh yeah, also I should mention package.json has to be valid JSON. It's not JavaScript or anything else. It's got to be JSON, as Crockford would appreciate. Oh, and I'm going to be missing a semicolon on line 10. Alright. And npm test. Oh. JS hint RC. Cool, and my test passed, so it's like really just preview is like the dumbest test ever. So yeah, I got like a pretty rudimentary build system for a really small module. So that's cool. Like if you want, really small modules are good, and it's really simple to just do something simple and get it going. And you have tests and lint, and you can iterate on that, or you can leave it as is and then do something else and maybe join them together somehow. We could even add more to this. We could say, just to show how you would run a non, we will we'll cat the index, and then we'll uglify min.js npm-run min. Okay, we know the uglify command. npm install save dev uglify. What? 404 uglify.js? I thought I had it on my path. This was weird. Okay, well, pretend that worked. What the hell? Here, how about this? Run this in the background. Uglify. Yeah, I don't even know. Is it uglify-js?
npm search uglify.
Yeah, it's got like index everything. Okay. Huh. well, things might break later on. Oh well. You guys know what uglifying does, and it was going to make a minified script, and you could. The point really is that I wanted to make really was that you had to prefix it with run. I didn't want you guys to like try this and be confused because there wasn't a run in front of there. So, okay. Anyways, npm, I really like it for when I first get started with the module or JavaScript package. I really like starting off using npm-scripts, and if I need to go any further, maybe I'll use something like grunt. Grunt, maybe you guys have heard of it, was created by a guy named Ben Ullman, at Cowboy, I think is his name, and he just needs something to be able to, run common tasks like uglification, linting and concatenating source files, minifying CSS or auto prefixing CSS, stuff like that. And he was sick of doing it over and over again, so he came up with kind of a system that could help with that called grunt, and yeah, it's got some nice features. A very simple configuration. It's basically there's one file that you need. It's called the grunt file. Very simple object notation to define tasks. Very very large plugin ecosystem. Grunt's been around for relatively long time, like a year or two, and so there's a lot of plugins around around it. If you go on the Grunt plugin list, there's like tons, and a really extensive API that there's a ton of stuff in there, like like logging stuff, outputting colored messages or failure messages, success messages, utilities that can automatically interpolate strings into variables into strings, so you can reuse your configuration, and just like tons of other stuff that could be really useful for automated build. So to get Grunt, used to be that you had to install the Grunt CLI, which was a global install. You notice the -G, although lately it's been made to look at a local grunt as well. Oh, and one thing I wanted to mention, I forgot to mention about package.json too, is when you install stuff, it goes into that node modules folder, and binaries will go into node modules.bin. The package.json will automatically put those things on your path, so you get them for already in there, and you're using the dependency that you specified, not whatever some user has installed globally. So yeah, so you can install global grunt and then you get it on your path, or you can install it locally, which is suggested and recommended for if you're using it as your build strategy. And like I said, grunt 0.4 will try and use the local grunt and fall back to global. That way you don't really need administrator rights to install a build system. Another interesting feature of grunt is that it provides scaffolding, I guess, for your projects. With the grunt init command, you get this way to, I don't use this, but you get a way to scaffold your projects based on common templates, and you can make templates if you want to for if you're always working on projects that have a node server, you can make a template where you could just have some variables be conditionally put into this node server, and you have a boilerplate project up and running before you know it. So and there's a lot of scaffolds, I guess you would call them, out there. jQuery, the jQuery project's just one of them. I don't really use this much, so I don't really know too much about it. But I know, I think maybe Yeoman might use that. Yeah? Okay. So, yeah. And Yeoman's pretty cool. And, yeah, Grunt also comes, the contrib plugins package. Pretty useful stuff. The standard things you'd expect, I guess. And yeah, that's how you install plugins. Obviously, put them in your dev dependencies. Good idea to not have your users have to install this stuff to get to your module that probably doesn't relate to it. And the main thing though about Grunt is it's all about configuration over code. The philosophy is that you configure the tasks and its dependencies as you configure it. It's literally like a JavaScript object. And this is kind of nice, I guess. People seem to think it's easy to understand, and it's just a good way of specifying your build strategy. And so like I said, it's very simple configuration, loads of plugins. There's the init system, really good for small projects, great for running servers. And for a while there, Grunt was the king of the land in terms of build systems. So let's hopefully have a more successful demo here with some Grunt stuff. And so I have a pretty basic, nothing's going on here grunt file. We'll kind of step through this line by line a little bit. To have a successful grunt file, it must be called grunt file. It could be JavaScript or CoffeeScript. So that's another thing to keep in mind. Grunt comes bundled with a way to run CoffeeScript stuff, which maybe you like that, maybe you don't. So your grunt file has to export a function that takes one parameter, which is the grunt instance. And right away, usually most projects are going to want to at least init a configuration. But at the very least, you want to register a task. So you do that with the register task API method, and you would name your task. Default builds the code and provide it. Yeah, builds the code is the description, and give it a little function, and it's gonna run this thing. Whoops. As the default task. So cool, yeah. And let's see where my state is at. So yes, we have some dependencies already installed. This is the same world groundbreaking program. JS Hint and Uglify. So let's see what it would look like to tie those together into a grunt file. First thing we're gonna do is get a JS Hint going. We're gonna need some options. So notice already I'm doing key value pairs here inside of a hash map or an object or a dictionary, what have you, in this configuration. And that's where all the options are going to go for my stuff. And so we remember from the previous that we need node to be true for this thing to pass. Also strict false. And then we're going to want to specify like which files it's going to work on, and grunt allows you to do some cool kind of globbing, pattern matching things. So we could just do like star.js. That's going to match all the JavaScript files in the current directory. So let's run. Oh yeah. So now, whoops. So now we have just, what have we done? We've specified what right here what is called a task. Task is like the highest level of thing, yeah, it's the highest level of a task. I know it's kind of a weird statement, but now we can do grunt JS Hint. What? Oh. Wait. I shouldn't have to register it if I just did it. Well, here, we can do this. We can show you another API method, run tasks, which will run tasks and their dependencies. So we could run JS Hint right here. What?
Does the object you pass in need to be JSON? Does that object need to be JSON or just a standard object?
This object? No, it's just like a standard JavaScript object. I wonder if... I don't know what's going on right now. Because the way it works is you specify your top level task, and then your options in your source files, and you can also specify like lower. What? Oh yes, thank you. Right. Oh yeah, I have that up there. Live coding. Load npm tasks. So yeah, grunt, you have to explicitly load tasks. Yeah, it will look inside the dev dependencies in your package.json for tasks. So we got grunt contrib JS Hint in our dev dependencies. And so yeah, cool. Thank you, Ray. Yeah, now we're running JS Hint on our stuff, on all of our JavaScript. But let's say we only wanted to run it on whoops. So we only wanted to run JS Hint on the tests. We would specify a subtask, and we give it some source files. And that will run it on our tests, which maybe I don't have any tests in there. Tests. Test. So, yeah, so you see I use the colon convention to specify a subtask. But if I also just run this task, it should run both tasks. So we kind of already have dependent tasks running right now. And I guess we can check out what would be like to do two tasks in one. So we could do uglify, and we'll uglify. And let's actually, we got and this is one problem I have with grunt is like some of the plugins have weird interfaces. So, and actually to specify files for uglify, it's a little different. So let's uglify our scripts, our main scripts, and specify some destination to source mappings of our files. So index.min.js is going to be the result of uglifying index.js. And I think everything. Yep. So what we're going to do to build our code now is we're going to lint our files and then uglify them. And you notice the name of this task is the default task. Well, if it's named default, you don't have to give it any type of sub-argument or argument. You just run grunt. And grunt.tasks.run task. So yeah, now we have the smallest program in the world just got even smaller. So we have dependent build, and this is like some of the more basic things. We're at the same point we were with the package.json. A little more boilerplate, a little more configuration, a little more chance for error, but there's also a bunch of built-in stuff with grunt, which I'm not really going to go into because I don't think it's that interesting in terms of build tools. But you could add colorful logging and all kinds of stuff. So yeah, that is my grunt demo, and like I said, grunt was king for the longest time. It kind of seemed like it was the #1 build tool around. But I think it was this year, Contender appeared. Oh well, first there's some math stuff about grunt. The whole global grunt thing was kind of a mess. Like, why do you have to install something globally if you don't have root access? You can't run grunt, which is like kind of ridiculous. And why would you need root access to develop software? Locally. Recently, there's like some breaking changes which I ran into in a local project where some of the APIs changed, and probably one of my biggest pet peeves is the inconsistencies in plugins. There's so many different API methods and ways of if you're writing a plugin, ways of retrieving the configuration the user has specified, and it seems like everyone just kind of does whatever the hell they want. And if you need to make a plugin do something else, it's kind of a pain to make it happen. Also, a big pet peeve with grunt is you need intermediate files. So if I wanted to concatenate a bunch of JavaScript, and then I wanted to uglify it, I need to concatenate it, make a temporary file, and then I need to uglify it, and that's my final file. So you're just making this useless intermediary file for no reason, which we didn't have that problem with the piping earlier in the package.json. Also, kind of a largest API, kind of a lot to learn. I mean, it's simple, but there's still a lot there, And from my experience as well, a grunt file can get very monolithic, can get very, very large and hard to manage. There can be a lot of technical debt in a grunt file if you don't really have a good plan for it. So, I always suggest grunt really good for small projects. Don't use it for something large unless you have a plan. So, just as kind of a foil to grunt, we had a contender appear. Take a water break.